So the travel quilt project started as part of the Charabancs and Cadillacs overall goal to collect reminiscences from local residences, and with the travel quilt I really wanted to engage as many people, local people, as possible. The way we started off the project is in summer last year. We held an open session to encourage people to come along, tell stories, and hopefully get interested in the project. We held workshops, a series of 6 workshops in September to October, and the work they produced there was amazing, and from that we got about 20 panels of the quilt. And then I was able to work with New Vic Sixth Form College in November, December time to do another series of 6 workshops where they again made their panels, again about 20. So overall we have 40 panels to work with, and I will be sewing all of the panels together to form the travel quilt. But it's not finished yet. Once I've sewn it up, I'm going to be hosting some one-off workshops with sewing groups across Newham to get them to embroider into the quilt so we can get as many people involved in the making of it as possible. And as a little extravaganza, in Easter we'll be having another open workshop where anyone can come along, embroider into the travel quilt, and it will finally be finished with many people involved in its making. So 2 pieces I really wanted to talk about, which I think summarise the whole project really nicely, are 2 panels made by the 2 different groups I worked with. So the first one is by Kathy. It was from our first workshops, and over the 6 sessions Kathy worked on this piece. It's a really lovely piece that has applique and embroidery and textile print, and it's all about her trip to Europe, where she went to several places including Switzerland and France, and there's a really lovely detail on it of the lock that is on the River Seine in Paris. And I really love this because then when I did the workshops with New Vic Sixth Form students, Stephen made this beautiful piece again with applique and textile print, and it's the same scene, it's of Paris. And I like this particularly because Kathy had been to Paris, but Stephen said he really wanted to go, and it's a really nice combination of the 2 groups' work and how they relate to each other. Even though they did them separately, they both have a very great fondness for this other country and the holiday they've had, or the holiday they want to have there. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of my favourite ones, mainly from an artistic perspective. They've just been really beautifully made and really showed the artistic intention by their makers. So this one here is a lovely one. It's by Eileen from my first group, and it shows the White Cliffs of Dover, and she was very particular about having the blue birds over the White Cliffs. It's got a lovely combination of the textile print for that photograph of the White Cliffs, and the applique where she's added a sun, the blue birds and a ferry coming across, and then she's embroidered into it as well. It's just such a lovely piece and really beautifully done. And then this one is by Cedric from the New Vic group, and it's of the Seychelles, which is a place he said he wanted to go to, primarily because it sounds lovely. Seychelles sounds like an amazing place to go, and he added this lovely embroidery using chain stitch particularly for the details of the fishes, and it's a really colourful piece. I really like the yellow and blues in it. He's made a really interesting composition there that is just, you notice a new thing every time you look at it, which is really lovely. So with the panels, just the last step before sewing them all together is just to make sure all the stitches are secure. Particularly, say with this one, she'd done some lovely long stitches, but they just needed to be couched down a bit. So I went through and added these little stitches just to secure it. And I really tried to match the colour of the thread so that it doesn't kind of become too obvious that I've added these little adjustments. But for example, this one, it's got, again, a few loose threads and just ones that are quite high up, so they just need some couching down. I'm very mindful not to mess around with people's pieces too much, but particularly for the students, it was their first time doing embroidery, so it's just to make sure that the travel quilt lasts and it doesn't snag at all any of the stitches. So I'll just do some couching down here. So couching down is just when you add a little stitch over the long stitch just to keep it secure. So the last part of making this travel quilt, we really want to get everyone involved that we can from the local community. So we're going to be working with some existing sewing groups within Newham, so if you're part of them, please do get involved, but also we're going to host a public workshop which we'll advertise very soon on our social media, so please watch out for that and do come along when we have it and the Easter holidays.